Hey everybody, welcome to Tie-Dye TV. It's been quite a long time since we had a live stream. The reason is we've been looking for a new home. Actually, we've known where that new home was going to be. It's just taken us a long time to get here. And we're here in the Wagon Works building here in Tamaqua, Pennsylvania. If you'd like to look for some more information about the project there, you can find a page on Facebook, Wagon Works. There's also a website, wagonworks.org, and there's a lot of information about this collaborative and creative studio space we're working on. And so I'm excited because it's the first time we're going to get to do a live stream, and I have a guest. Well, guest is probably a little bit of a stretch. She just happened to be stopping in to visit and check out the studio space, and I told her that she was going to be my guest tonight, and it's the crazy pig lady, Gail. If you caught the teaser early, you might have heard that, but actually I get away with calling her the crazy pig lady because that by its very nature means I'm the crazy pig man, because we're husband and wife. And we're going to talk a little bit about our Homestead hogs tonight. So my wife Gail's here, and she's excited to be my guest, right?
Well, I have a lot to say about pigs because we've been doing it for the last couple of years, but I'm not usually the one in front of the camera. I really keep to myself and just watch what's going on, but we'll give this a try, see how it goes.
And we're going to try and work out the kinks tonight. Tonight was really meant to be a kind of a test stream. We're just literally only 3 days into having internet at this space. All of the equipment came up from our previous location at Stonehenge Gardens. It's been in storage for a while. We had a lot of computer work to do, a lot of upgrades. Actually, we had some problems with stuff, even just turning it on, bouncing around in the truck and getting here apparently dislodged some cards and some memory. And so we're slowly working into things, and I think this is going to be a fantastic space for us to do things. We're already lining up guests and programming that we're going to be doing from here throughout the coming months. And I can't wait to be bringing you some more musical performances like we did with the Seed House sessions. We're already looking at doing more of that in this space. But to be honest, it is unheated space. So as we get into the winter, we're going to have some challenges. And as long as we're talking about some of those challenges, you can help support this project by going to that wagonworks.org page. And there's Kevin, who has started this project, has some really interesting things up right now. He makes some fantastic, what they call tongue drums, and he has a few on that page for sale. But right now we want to promote his auctioning, well, raffling raffling off an original print, or original painting actually, right. That he did, and it is called Gypsy Wind. And that is going to be raffled off approximately 1 month from now. We're going to be doing a live stream event from Stonehenge Gardens with a band called the Golden Grass, and we'll be pulling the ticket for that then. But he painted this painting for a local band called Appalachian Gypsy Tribe, and it was their album cover. And to help support the renovations we're doing here in the studio, particularly right now, we're doing a lot of electrical work. We had things that needed to be done for insurance purposes, and beyond that, we're now working on things that just need to be done so we could use the space. He's going to be giving up that painting he's been hanging on to for quite a while in exchange for hopefully your support. So check that out, wagonworks.org, wagonworks.org. So enough about the studio space. You can check out more about that. We do a live stream from this space on Wednesday nights live. We're going to be doing more of what's happening in the building and the art that's going on here on a weekly basis. But now it's time to get back to the pig lady. So we're going to talk a little bit about our Cooney Pigs tonight. We raise a particular breed of pig called KuneKune from New Zealand, and We've integrated them into our homestead because of, well, they're just darn friendly and darn cute too. Anything else you can throw in and interject into what you like about the pigs?
Well, they taste good too.
Oh, they are darn tasty. That's another thing. So one of the things with the Cooney pigs is they take about 2 years to grow out to full-size butcher weight. For those people who don't know anything about growing pigs, commercial pig, which we did try, Berkshires. 6 months they were full size, and that was pretty much all it takes to get them to full size butcher weight. But these are a smaller, slow growing, grazing pig. They are great on grass, and that's what we like about them. They're also extremely short snouted, and I'm going to throw up a picture of our boar. This is Raj. He was one of our first KuneKunes, and one of the things you might not really notice from this front picture, and we don't have a lot of pictures to share because this was pretty much a spontaneous kind of thing. We really like these pigs because they're very flat-faced. They have an extremely short snout, and what that means is they don't dig. When we had the Berkshires at the house, we ended up with a giant lunar landscape. And when I talk about lunar landscape, I mean giant craters. They would just dig holes that you could bury human bodies in. And we had to go in and fill them back in at the end of the season with the tractor. And with the Coonies, they don't dig at all. They are a grazing pig. And one of the other things that we really like about them is they're personable. Also, I think one of the big things you like about them is they don't get big.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the Berkshires were great. We got them young, and we did spend a lot of time with them. But the boar was 600 pounds at I don't know, 10 months or whatever it was when we gave him up. But I wasn't afraid of them, but they stepped on your foot, you knew it. They pushed up against you, they're going to knock you over. And the Coonies, at the first talking about it, I'm like, I don't know about this. I was still kind of new to pigs, I wasn't really sure. We went to see some, I still wasn't really sure. But the more we looked at them and the more I was around them, I started to realize that these were much more manageable. And we got females first, and the personality of these females was just amazing. And you'd go in there and they would love the attention, they didn't push on you. And a few weeks after we got our first females, we had a litter. And we went in, and of course it was very exciting, this was new, and she let us be in there, she let us pick up her babies. She was protective, but not in an aggressive way. And I think that was really the turning point for me. I was convinced 100% at that point. And we've already had family and friends that have come to see things. And the mothers are not aggressive if they know you and they're familiar with you, which is the advantage of the homesteading pigs, where you can spend time with them. But that was probably the deciding factor for me, that this was really the way to go. And I'd never have anything different now.
So the video I just had playing was me laying in a hut with one of our litters, and they literally were just a day old. And I often have people ask me on some of the other pig forums, how do we get pictures of these pigs at such young ages? And the mothers that we keep are just such wonderful mothers and wonderful pigs. They're so attached to us. We can lay in that hut with them literally as they're giving birth. We've been in taking videos of them as they're doing their birthing. But I go in and I could lay in the hut, and often what I'll do is let Gail do the feeding. Mother wants to go out and get something to eat. I'll go grab a video camera or a DSLR and go take some pictures or some video. And when mom's ready to come back, she comes back into the hut, grunts a little bit, I slide out of the way. She lays down, she nurses, I get to take more pictures. Yeah. And one of the things that we really like about them is they are very intelligent, and they imprint on us very well, and they're easy to manage. It's amazing how different this breed is compared to other breeds that we've had. I mean, Berkshires is one thing, but we even had Guinea hogs.
We had Guinea hogs, which was the next thing we went to, and they were smaller. They're that heritage type breed, and part of it for us was cost at the time, I'll be honest with you, but we still wanted that more heritage and manageable. We wanted, you know, good meat, and we thought we'll give this a try. So we had gotten some, and they were okay as far as getting in and dealing with them. They weren't aggressive necessarily, but it still was not quite the same once we moved to the Coonies. And then I realized that the Guinea hogs were probably, you know, okay to have, but again, that personality and that interaction was still very different with the Coonies, and I don't know that I would go back to the other breeds at all. And I'm sure they're great, and a lot of people really enjoy having them, and there's nothing wrong with them by any means, but we've just made the decision that the Cooney's really where we've landed.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we do want to mention is, by no means are we discouraging any of the other breeds. We know a lot of people who have been very dedicated to maybe Gloucester Old Spots, to Berkshires, to large blacks. All of them have their beneficial traits. What we found is on our small scale homestead, which I want to like put that into context. We have 3.5 acres, and we are way over pigged right now.
Yeah, right now.
We're in a major downsizing of our herd. We're selling off some pigs, and we're butchering a lot right now. But and we do have a lot of small pigs.
Right.
We've had a lot of recent litters over the course of the past few months, but we have 50 pigs on the property, and we are definitely overpopulated, but it's not so overpopulated that it's not manageable. But one of the things that's nice with the Coonies is because they're such a good grazer, they're very, very easy on the land. And when I say that, I mean, our pigs, even if they're contained in an area, and a lot of the pictures we have this year, there's no green underneath them. And that's because we had a very, very bad winter as far as being warm, and had a lot of mud conditions coming out of winter. And even this summer, we've had a tremendous amount of rain. So the areas where they've been, just from being trampled, have been kind of decimated. So we've contained them in areas that we're kind of calling sacrifice areas this year, just because we don't want to ruin a lot of other areas. But during a good summer like we had last year, they'll nibble all of the green down, and then they'll move on to another area and wait for that to grow. Even if we don't move them as much, they don't seem to need to be rotated as much as some of the other pigs that we've had. And we did talk about the American Guinea hogs. We really like the American Guinea hogs. When we first were looking for the small breed pig, which the Guinea hog and the KuneKune are very, very similar in stature, similar in grow out. The Guinea hogs were a lot more accessible, and they were a lot less expensive. I'm finding that that isn't as much the case anymore. The Coonies have dropped in prices. I could tell you all of our original breeding pigs were 4 figures. Now you're definitely finding them in the 3-figure range. And we have ones of great pedigree, and we have ones that are of champion descent. And I believe that we paid extra for some of those good genetics. We even drove to Vermont to bring in an additional boar to get some additional good genetics into our herd. But the costs have dropped. And I definitely would encourage anybody, particularly on a small homestead scale, to take a look into the KuneKunes. One of the things that we really like, I think, is just personality.
Oh, no question at all. And, you know, as we've had the different pigs, the different breeds, again, the American Guinea hog, we had no trouble managing them. They were great. They had a little bit longer snout, so we're talking about how they graze. They did like pasture, but they did have a little bit more of that rooting tendency, but it still was not like some of the other types of breeds. But the Coonies just seem to have, they like that attention. A lot of them do, I should say. We have one, I say he needs to be somebody's pet, because he's really that kind, like he just loves that personal interaction, and he is just really enjoyable to be around. And I think that's the other part, is that this isn't, while it's a lot of work, especially when you're at where we're at right now, the type of animal that this is easy to work with, and you get in and they come over and they want to be scratched behind the ears and things like that. So if you have younger children, I don't see a lot of, I mean, you always want to be careful. They're livestock, they're animals. But we've had some family over and we've gotten children in there, and while we're there and watching things, they've been able to touch the pigs and interact with them. And I think that's something else you need to consider, depending on your personal situation, is that you don't want people around your animals that you really have that risk, that high risk, I should say, because again, they're still livestock. But as you can tell, I'm sold on them. I really am.
Yeah, and we do want to make sure you understand, like, we have boars. Boars do get tusks.
Yeah.
Both of our breeding age boars, we have several that are all breeding age,
right.
and we're selling off some of those
Right.
that were born at our property, and we are also selling off one that was our original boar. But both of our primary boars have tusks, and tusks, people have been known to be gored. Now, our pigs are very friendly, but even if they would just kind of rub up against you in the wrong way, you kind of be concerned about that. Fortunately for us, both of our boars kind of have short tusks, and that's because one has tusks that kind of overlay a little bit and they rub against each other, which kind of I don't even know what.
Well, they're not as
self-shortened.
pointed.
They're not as
Yeah,
pointed.
right.
They don't,
I
and
mean,
they don't grow out.
Right. So you do still want to watch that. You know, I go in, I'm always, I have, you know, the bucket, or I don't let him behind me type of thing, because it wouldn't be aggressive, but it could still cause injury. But we don't have some that are extremely sharp and pointed that are a little more risky. But they do grow, these tusks, after a couple years. I mean, the ones that are older now, they're 18 months.
Yeah,
they're starting. You can start to see them form as they get
Little
to
vampire
18 months.
teeth
Yeah.
just out of the front of their mouth.
Yeah.
Our second boar, he's taken to like chewing on hard fence. I don't know if he just doesn't like his teeth and he's teething, but he grinds his own tusks down. I actually have a video I want to show, because it kind of shows the intelligence level and the personality. And what I want to like talk you through is, I'm going to show you, we actually train our pigs, and we've been a lot better with some of the ones that we had early, because we had a lot less pigs. The ones that we've had recently, we still get in and interact with them, but we don't get as much time with them. And this was a litter from late last fall, and we train them with some little treats we get from a local restaurant near us. They serve these great fresh rolls, and the pigs love them. And almost all of our adult pigs are taught to sit. So while the video's playing, you can see that these are actually young pigs, probably only about six weeks old. But I want you to take notice, because here comes Mom, and just watch. I hold the treat and she sits, and she is extremely gentle taking the treats for me. We do have some other pigs that kind of like to jump at you, but particularly that pig, Emily, she sits, she opens her mouth, and I could literally put my hand into her mouth and she wouldn't bite me. It's amazing how well behaved these pigs are. So anyway, there's a couple different places you can find some information, and I'm going to try and get you to a website here. We purchased some pigs that were registered. There is 2 breed registries for the KuneKunes, and one's called the AKPR, the American Cooney Pig Registry, and the other one's the AKKPS.
That sounds right. I always
Because
get
one
them
has
confused.
one K and one has
Yeah,
two
one
Ks
is
in it.
4 and one has 5 is the acronym. So.
We tend to be a little bit more active in one than the other. I won't bother giving anybody reasons why, but
They're both good sources of information.
they're both.
And the registries are good as far as looking for a registered pig.
And I do want to encourage people, buy registered animals. There is something, if you are going to do this seriously, buy a registered pig. And when I say registered, you are going to get a full genetic tree of their parents, their grandparents, their great-grandparents. And even like the AKKPS is now doing coefficient of inbreeding back to, I believe, 7 or 9 generations. So a very extensive database of genetics. Now, I do want to tell people, after you watched our little video there, that we've often had people talk about how they could possibly eat this animal. And, you know, we definitely do this with the intention of having meat. And it is some of the most delicious meat because it takes so long to grow out. It has flavor. It's very red. It's very marbled. It's very steak-like when you look at it. And but it is also a pig, because it takes such a long time, you get to have some time with that. So I'll let you talk about that a little bit.
So people say, how can you eat this animal? You know, you give it a name. Many of our animals have names. I would say, you know, our breeders and the ones that we've had around for a while, particularly, you know, some of our early litters, again, it was new to us, and it is very easy to get attached to them. I guess the other part, though, is that we like to believe that they have a great life, that we treat them as well as we can. They get sunshine, they get water, they get interaction, they have grass, they have good things to eat, and we're giving them a good life, and then what we say is they have one bad day. But then they're giving back to us. And the part that was also interesting is that we had someone that purchased a pig from us, and they had younger children, grade school children, and she shared a story with me that someone said, "Oh, I can't believe that you took your daughters there and you could see these pigs, and then you would feed them these pigs, like they would eat this meat." And she said, "I want my daughters to appreciate where their food comes from. I want them to understand that it doesn't come out of a package from a grocery store, and that these animals are treated the way they're treated, and then in return we respect that," and the whole kind of circle of life, so to speak. So you go into it with that mindset, and it's a give and a take all the way around. It's that circle of life, so to speak.
And I'm going to throw up another picture for you, and I apologize for some of the button craziness. It is the first stream after 6 months, and actually we're trying some new equipment out tonight. But when we talk about cute, they are darn cute. This is one of our litters from just this summer.
Right, they were born in April, and this was probably about 4 to 6 weeks old, I'm thinking. So you can see the personality shining through that particular one in the front there. He's adorable, and he still is adorable. And he greets me when I go to take their food, and we say hello, and I rub everybody's ears and all of that. But he's a good one. He may be a breeder, but at some point he may be eaten. Several of the ones you saw in that picture are going to be meat. It is just the enjoyment of them as they're growing. They get a little less cute as they get older, but frankly, I think some of our adults are the cutest thing. And so it's just part of it.
We have one, and she came with our other boar. She came with the pairing that we got from Vermont, and she has these great ears, and she chews, and the ears just go up, and she just has a jaw that it looks like she has a dumb grin on her face all the time. And unfortunately, she's not delivered any babies for us, and she's going to probably be heading to the sausage factory in a little bit, but that's the nature of what we do. And I just want to encourage people to consider that if you are going to do this on a homestead, you are going to be bringing these pigs in, and we are encouraging that if you do have children, this is a breed to consider, but also consider that your kids may become attached to them because they are so intelligent and so personable. You know, a lot of people would actually get these as pets. We don't do pet pigs. I mean, if you wanted a pet pig, we would gladly supply you a pet pig, but for the most part, we raise and choose our genetics and the stock that we're keeping specifically for meat qualities, whereas there are a lot of breeders out there that are still breeding for the cuteness factor. That's not really what we're into. But for the most part, we love them. They taste delicious. And if you want more, contact us. You can find our Facebook page. It's called Harvest at Home. And that's a way you can get in touch with us, take a look at some of our pig pictures. We're probably going to be posting a lot more pictures over the next week because we are going to be doing some fall downsizing of the herd as we move into fall season and into winter. We want to reduce the amount of pigs on the property, but we gladly exchange messages with you, talk with you on the phone, and can tell you much more detail than we've covered tonight. But for the most part, that's probably a great intro. Anything else you want to throw in before we say goodnight?
Not really. I mean, you don't have to have a lot of experience to do this, honestly. I think a lot of it's common sense. There are definitely things you can learn from other people. We've made mistakes. We've found things that work well for us. And you know, anybody that's interested in doing this, we would be glad to share our stories and see how that might work for you, or the things that we've found work well on, again, 3.5 acres that we have for our homestead. They're social animals, so you really want to have, if you only have pigs, you want to have 2 or more. But if you have other animals, they're great with goats and other types of animals as well too. There's a lot of people that have different types of livestock, and they interact well and they really adapt well. But I'd say give it some consideration if you want to know where your food's coming from, you want to do something different and be a part of a more sustainable type of living where, you know, the nature of the animal and the cycle of life and the whole thing, you know, you don't need to do a lot to get started, but this is one thing you could consider doing.
That's where we're going to cut it for tonight because you need to quick rush back to the house so we can get our pig treats for the night and take care of getting everything squared away for the morning. I'm going to clean up here a little bit at the studio, but I want to say thanks for enduring through some of the mistakes tonight, and definitely consider checking back the Tie-Dye TV stream. We're going to be doing a lot more stuff. You can also check out the YouTube channel and see some of the things we've done in the past, whether it be music performances or permaculture-based training events that we've done, and we're definitely looking to utilize this space and the equipment that we have here to do much more of that. So my wife and guest, the crazy pig lady Gail.
Good night.
Good night.